Now, would you like to be on camera? The camera facing you? Probably not.
I feel a little bit weird.
If it's not an immediate yes, it's a no.
Okay, no.
And that's no problem.
All right.
So, you've had the questions in advance. Would you like to hear them again?
Sure.
What's most important?
All right.
What's your history with religion? And at what point or points did you decide it was or was not for you? Then the hero question, real and imaginary. And then any questions for me?
Okay.
Even though we just had an interview.
I did my questions for you, so if I can think of anything else. Okay, cool. All right.
So what's most important?
To me, probably my partner. I'm in love with my partner, and he gives me the most meaning in my life, I think. Just having interactions with him and that.
And you said to me.
Yeah.
It's very good that you qualify that, because some people have asked, well, in what context?
Yeah.
And my response is put it in whatever context you want and put it in as many as you would like. So are there any other most important things for you?
For me?
Or for anything?
Oh, okay. Well, for me, yeah, no, I think my partner is my most important thing. My family as well. I mean, my family and the people who are closest to me are the places where I get my meaning from. So friends are also quite important. My family is quite important. But yeah, I mean, just people who I can have a real connection with. Yeah, that matters the most.
A few people have said that connecting with other people is most important.
Yeah.
And that's become one of my answers for why I do this.
Yeah.
Because it's enjoyable to have these kind of conversations. Okay, so you're satisfied with what's most important?
I think so, yeah.
So what's your history with religion, and when did you decide back and forth?
All right. So I was raised Roman Catholic. My mom even taught CCD, but I don't think she was ever like a die-hard believer. I think she just kind of knew she had to raise her kids religious, because that's the thing.
You mentioned CCD before.
Oh, it's a catechism. It's like once a week you go to a church and they teach you about religion. It's a weekly thing. And if you finish it all out, then eventually you go to confirmation. And when you're confirmed, then you become, I don't know, officially Catholic. Yeah, you made it. You went through the ritual, right? And they're like classes, but they're not hardcore classes. Sometimes they'll give you light homework, but it's not like they grade you or anything, so if you don't do it, you don't do it. I think most kids just show up and that's pretty much it until eventually you get confirmed. So I went to that. I think my mom even taught it when I was little, and I think she believed, but she wasn't like, she had questions herself too. And I was taught about the Bible and Adam and Eve, but I was also taught about evolution, and that was really strange, didn't jive. I remember asking my mom, which of these are true? I remember asking her questions about, why is there something rather than nothing? And she was pretty cool about it, actually. She'd say things like, well, nobody really knows the answer, She'd still tell me the religious story, too, but I don't know. I think she was pretty straight with me. Then I remember I got to that age where I was really starting to doubt, and I was recognizing the difference between things that seemed to be real and things that seemed to be fantasy, like magic or wishful thinking, that kind of thing. And I started having questions about all kinds of things. First I questioned Santa Claus and gave my mom a hard time about that, and then finally she told me, there's no Santa Claus. And then I got older still, and I was still questioning. And I remember the worst of it, though, was the fact that I was told, you shouldn't question because you're a holier, better person if you believe without having seen. That is, if you believe in the absence of any evidence, than if you have seen and you believe, because it means you had so much faith, you didn't even need to look. And this was just like a real head trip for me. I would lay in bed at night as a child, sweating. I can't try to find out. I can't. I have to just believe it. I cannot try and find out whether this is true. It's going to be, I have to be a good enough person. I got to make it into heaven, and plus I'll just be a good person if I just believe without, and I just couldn't do it forever. Eventually I just ran out of steam, and I started questioning it, and I did research, not the kind of intensive research a lot of folks I knew did, but really it just kind of came down to not being able to believe in it because it sounded too much like fantasy to me. It sounded too unbelievable. And so I stopped believing. I didn't stop entirely, though. I still kind of went to church and did things for a while. And then when I was 17, when it was time for me to get confirmed, that's when I finally decided, you know, actually I'm an atheist. I don't really want to get confirmed. I did it anyway because my family wanted me to, but having to go through that process is what finally made me go, you know what, I don't actually belong here. I should go. Yeah. So I guess that's my history, my religious history.
And if you don't mind me asking, how old are you now?
28.
28.
Yeah, so over 10 years ago. It's hard to believe.
Well, I'm glad I'm not twice your age. So I'm 47 now. Okay, so you're satisfied with your religion question?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so the two-part hero question. What in your real life makes you a hero? What might someone accuse you of being a hero for? And the second is, if you were in a comic book or movie or cartoon and you had a superpower, what would it be?
That's a really hard question. I really don't know how to answer that. I don't feel particularly like a hero in life in general. I mean, I've done things that made people happy, so that's good, but a couple of times I was useful in an emergency. I remember that at least once someone had a seizure and I cleared stuff out of the way, was there until it ended. I mean, you don't have to actually do much in the case of a seizure, contrary to popular belief. Just make sure they don't bang their head on anything. That made me feel kind of good. Still didn't really feel like a hero, though. I don't know. If I was in a comic book or a film, I don't know. I guess, usually comic book heroes save people's lives, I guess, and that makes you a hero. But I'm not sure.
Would you fly? Would you shoot beams out of your eyes?
Oh, well, what superpower do I have?
Yeah.
Well, that's a different question. The superpower that I'd like to have is shapeshifting.
Oh, okay.
That would be awesome because you get multiple powers with shapeshifting, right? One, you can heal yourself. So while you might not have eternal life, you're going to have a long life because somebody's going to have to put a bullet straight through your head for you to die, right?
If that's where your brain is.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, right? So you're good. You can heal yourself. That's incredible. Two, you can have basically eternal youth, or youth whenever you want it, right? If you want everyone to perceive you as an old person for a while, then you can do that. If you want someone to perceive you as a child, you can do that. You can experience what it's like to have to live life as a different kind of person from all over the world, right? And you could become animals and fly and swim. I feel like shape-shifting power has so many other powers wrapped up into it that it would be foolish to choose anything else. Unless you really specifically wanted something that I guess no creature could do, like mind control, as you mentioned. Yeah, that'd be my choice. That wouldn't make me a hero, though. It would just make me super powerful.
I frequently found that the what's most important question has something to do with their comic book superhero power.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
But I don't see much connection between your partner and shape-shifting.
No, there really isn't. Not unless we can both shapeshift and live eternally as shapeshifters. That actually is a thing, yeah.
Because even with mine, I want freedom, but I also want mind control. But I want to control everyone's mind to be free. To control their own mind.
I can see that, yeah.
I've known a few that said that health was the most important because theirs was fairly poor, and their superpower was to heal people. And I thought that was really cool. Another one, I don't remember what his most important was, but his superpower was to re-experience his life. And he'd actually said to go back in time. But that's not what he meant. He didn't want to change time. He wanted to re-experience that moment. And he and I go way back. The dog I have tattooed on my arm, he was there when I had to put her down. And I said, the fondest memories I have with her are just being with her. Not doing anything, just being with her. He's like, yeah, that's the way I feel about my wife. And his superpower, he wants to re-experience that time with his wife or whoever it was. I really like that one. I'm trying think if shape-shifting, maybe you want to spice up your relationship with your partner. Maybe that's it.
By shape-shifting together. Maybe. I mean, I'm not against that, right? Like
Yeah.
us both turning into creatures together and like being all kinds of different people. That definitely sounds awesome, right?
When I was a kid, there was a cartoon called the Super Friends. Yeah. And there were these Wonder Twins, and they smack their rings together. Wonder Twin powers activate. She would always turn into some kind of animal, and he would turn into something related to water or ice.
Huh.
But I noticed that pattern. But they were supposed to shapeshift, but she always did some kind of winter animal, and he did like a bucket of water or a snowman or something weird.
That is really, really specific.
Yeah.
And I wonder what the motivation was behind that.
I don't know. It was pretty bizarre.
I guess if you were a shapeshifter, you probably would have your favorite shapes. I have spent some time thinking about this, like designing the several people that you would want to be. And then, like, what happens when you're going to get old and die and you no longer have a social security number, right? So now there's no country you belong to. Can you fake your own birth? Like, how are you gonna handle that, right?
Like those vampire movies, reinventing themselves.
Yeah, right. Going to each country and finding some way to do that. Always being a foreigner everywhere you go. The only thing that would concern me about that is that you'd be alone. Like, shape-shifting power, I definitely would want to share it with my partner if I had it. Because, like, if you had the ability to heal and you had the ability to live an extraordinary long lifespan, look like anyone you wanted, not only would you grow old and lonely, and everyone around you would die, but you also would have no one who knew who you really were ever. You would be no more who you really are. You'd be changing constantly. So that's kind of creepy. Well, that's the only major drawback. Yeah.
You've thought this through.
Yes, I have. I've thought this through a lot, actually. Yes, I do have.
So this is your playtime in your head.
Yes, this is definitely fantasy. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if most people didn't have a well thought out superhero fantasy of some kind, right? Or at least many people. It's a pop culture thing.
Okay. Now this is additional question now.
All right.
Does your partner know that you want to shapeshift?
Oh, totally.
Okay.
I've told him about this too. This isn't like something I've obsessed over. It's just a really well thought out fantasy. I don't want you to think that I'm like spending all my time on the shapeshifter thing,
No.
right? But yeah, no. There's like a handful of fantasies that are like important enough to me to think about a lot, and that's on the list. It's on the list.
I forgot to ask at the beginning, do you mind if you share your name with the internet, or do you want to be anonymous?
I'll be anonymous.
Be anonymous,
If
that's fair.
okay. Yeah.
I'll try not to mention your name then.
Yeah. I think I said my first name. That's okay. That could be on the internet.
Did you finish your superhero question?
I think so, yes.
Last question is, would you like to ask me anything?
Nah, I think so. I'm okay. I asked you a bunch of questions already. Can't think of anything else.
You don't have anything beyond that,
I'm
or
not
beyond
sure.
this?
I mean, you can tell me. I know that your answers are probably online, but you can tell me about your answers to some of your questions, particularly your superhero question. Like, I'm curious what superpowers you want.
The mind control thing.
Oh yeah, that's right. You told me you wanted mind control.
Yeah.
Have you put any more thought into it, or is that it? You haven't developed your fantasy to the extent that I have?
Put more thought into mind control?
Yeah, like the details. How would it play out? What would be horrible? What would be wonderful?
I don't want to actively control anyone's mind. I have trouble enough controlling my own. That's why I want everyone to control their own mind. And I had a good little ism about it. Something about if you control your own mind, now you can do, think, feel anything you want, but only for your own reason, not because someone told you to. It could be because you don't know, that's fair. But it can't be for no reason or because someone told you. I can't accept that.
Wait, so a person controlling their own mind can think and feel anything they want?
Yes. They would be in control of themselves entirely.
So they could feel as if they're on a beach suddenly.
Sure. Why not?
And like see it and just be there.
I'm just a little bit more relaxed to you mentioning a beach, aren't you?
Yes.
So we're controlling our own mind to feel a little bit better about thinking about a beach.
Okay, fair.
But to go back to the religious thing, if you want me to believe that I'm not welcome because my parents didn't get married, well, are you going to practice that? Are you going to kick me out of a church if I walk up to one? Or, I want to know if it's your reason, though. If it's your belief or if it's because someone told you that. If you say, well, yeah, I helped write the Bible, so you shouldn't belong in a church. I'm like, okay, well, I can't really argue with that.
Yeah.
But you say, well, no, the Bible says, well, apparently you believe the Bible, can you tell me why? I'm like, no, it's just in the Bible. I'm like, well, then I don't care. Why should I follow your belief if you can't tell me any good reason behind it? I can understand you shouldn't touch fire or stick your finger in a light socket. You can feel the heat from the flame. You can't quite do that with an electric socket. But you tend to trust people, and when you see a spark, you go, yeah, that could be hurtful. But if it's for no reason, when I ask them for the absolute rule, it's like they say, no, rules should be absolute. There should be no exceptions to rules. I'm like, well, give me one. And they really can't. So for me, they don't have a reason for saying that. They just believe it because someone told them that. There's another discussion group. It was about foreign aid or something like that. And one of the women brought up a common saying, why don't men ever talk about their feelings? Now, I don't know what that had to do with foreign affairs, but I just asked her, I said, well, what feelings do you want to talk about? She looked at me kind of weird and went on with whatever she was talking about. And I thought that was kind of rude, and I wanted to know the answer. And after everything was done, I go, well, I was serious. What feelings would you like to talk about? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, well, why do you ask that? Why do you care if men don't talk about their feelings if you can't tell me what you want to talk about? And there were two women that I asked, and they both couldn't answer me. So, and I've asked other women about that, and some of them are like, yeah, I don't understand other women either. That was some of the reasons. Actually, I think that was the only one. No one gave me a satisfactory answer other than that they didn't understand it either. So I don't know why people waste my time with those kinds of questions. Why don't you share your feelings? I'm like, well, what feelings do you want to talk about? I don't know. Well, then shut the hell up.
I think that a lot of times when people are talking about that kind of thing, well, this is the argument that I've heard folks make, right? That women are sort of taught as they're growing up that, like, other people are going to care about your feelings and you should be happy, right? Like, if a little girl is crying, usually someone will be like, what's wrong, little girl? Are you okay? Why don't you tell me why you're sad? Whereas if a little boy is crying, people are a lot less likely to approach the little boy. What's wrong? Are you okay? And eventually, after they get to a certain age and they're still doing it, people will say, what's the matter with you? Suck it up, shut up, stop crying, be a man. And so I think that when women are talking about that, they're often referring to the fact that, like, men haven't been taught their whole life about getting sad, telling someone else what it's like to be sad, telling them why, getting comfort. And so that also means that when women are older and they want comfort because they've learned their whole lives to get it, that they can't have that interaction happening with other men anymore. So they're not getting what they're used to, the getting comfort, and they're also confused when the other person's upset and they can't comfort them. That's my interpretation of that situation. But I can understand why it would be frustrating.
Thank you for your input, because that's kind of helpful. I mean, I still don't understand it, but it's more than I had. It's more than I had, so that's good. Is there anything else you'd like to chat and share with the internet?
Can't think of anything else off the top of my head. You're welcome to ask me more stuff, but I'm good.
I can't think of anything. Thank you for your time.
Sure, thank you.